Greetings everyone. Well, last time we took an in-depth look at the Family Home Entertainment collection of Transformers on VHS from back in the day. Today, we're going to take a look at the rest of them. Well, the ones that I have, anyway. Today, on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Pretty cool, eh? Wasn't that the most awesome effect? I just noticed something looking at this. I don't know why this never occurred to me before. Say your prayers, Autobots! Megatron as Black Bart. Yeah, some of the dialogue on the comics on these boxes was definitely not taken straight from the show. And there was something else that was pointed out on one of the fan sites. Yeah, where Ravage is taking Chip, ripping Chip out of the house, smashing through the window, and Chip doesn't look terribly concerned about it. He's like, whatever. I'm sure you can have a lot of fun just kind of picking apart the comic strips, and yeah, they're definitely cheesy, but it's all part of the fun. Okay, so, after the Family Home Entertainment years, what happened? Now, you may notice I'm not going into all the UK releases, because there's like a million of them. The UK got a lot more episodes than we did over here in North America. They got a lot of season 2 and 3 episodes, whereas we primarily got one re-release after another of season 1. So you wonder why I'm so intimately familiar with season 1? There's your answer. Because A, it's the one I watched the most when I was a kid, and all my friends watched, and it was like the cool thing to do in 1984. As 1985 and 86 went on, I felt like my friends were all abandoning the Transformers. Like, what's the matter with you? We're not too young. Just hold on to your childhoods. I did, and they didn't, I guess. So in addition to that, it was like all of the various video releases were just season 1 being re-released over and over and over again. Case in point, this was 1995. Malofilm Entertainment in Canada puts out 3 clamshell volumes of the Transformers. There you go. I actually did a huge spread scan of it, so let's look at that while I'm putting this on the music stand. Yeah, pretty snazzy artwork on those cases. The only issue I have with them is you notice all the characters on the cover are from the movie. Yeah, and it's not even close to the era of the movie. It's the first season. So on this particular one we have Roll For It, Divide and Conquer, and Fire in the Sky. See, there we go, again, putting the Skyfire episode first. I don't understand why. Now, actually what I really don't understand is why didn't they do Transport to Oblivion, Roll For It, and Divide and Conquer? Because those 3 form a little mini trilogy and they all go together. But no, instead they just skipped the Space Bridge episode that is probably one of the most important first season episodes because it sets up the whole Space Bridge concept, which they use throughout the season, and just goes straight into the middle of that little trilogy of episodes. I don't know, go figure, whatever. The reason I picked these up, I should mention, is because these are very old. These are already 10 years old when these came out. So just like, oh cool, new releases of the Transformers. Maybe they'll be, you know, slightly better quality. At the very least they'll be newer quality and less of the problems that VHS has as it gets older, kind of thing. Although I find now, if I take an old VHS tape and feed it through my camcorder, which has built-in time-based correction, it can actually fix a lot of the signal issues that you get with older tapes. You know, older tapes, those of you who are familiar with VHS, you know how after tapes get old, even if it's a first-generation tape, it'll start to get wavy and such. It's because the magnetic particles drift, the signal weakens over time. Well, with the time-based corrector, it actually grabs that, locks it down, and stabilizes it, so you get rock-solid, stable images. So if you wonder why all my MMC Retro episodes have such beautiful, stable picture quality, despite the fact that the footage is almost 20 years old, that's why, because it's all time-based corrected. So, plus I take very good care of my tapes. Okay, so we had this one, and then we got a second volume, War of the Dinobots, which, big surprise, has War of the Dinobots on it. Again, 3 episodes. We've got SOS Dinobots, Fire on the Mountain, and War of the Dinobots. So really, this volume continues on directly from this one. And again, wildly inappropriate package art that has nothing to do with the episodes on the disc, on the tape. And then finally we have the Ultimate Doom. I was kind of surprised they didn't re-release yet again More Than Meets the Eye, the original miniseries, but they didn't. So this one we got Brainwash, Search, and Revival, which is sort of the official/unofficial titles of the 3 parts of that. I just call it the Ultimate Doom Parts 1, 2, and 3, whatever. And again, wildly inappropriate artwork. You know, I love how Unicron is on the cover of all of these, and it has nothing to do with it. So that was it for these particular re-releases. So we got 9 episodes again from the first season, starting with Roll For It and going straight through to the Ultimate Doom. So this is actually like the middle 9 episodes of that season, and is pretty much in sequence altogether. Hello again. It's a couple of days later. When I was filming the segment you just watched, Rosie was down for a nap, and then when I got right into the middle of it, she got up. So I couldn't continue the rest of it until later, and then by later I was too tired, and then I got sidetracked doing other videos, and yeah, anyway, we're going to continue now. Okay, here we go. Where were we? Ah, yes. We were just about to talk about Malofilm's Canadian VHS releases of Transformers Generation 2. GoBots? How the hell did that get there? Be gone! There we go. That's more like it. There are clearly strange forces at work here. Okay, so the next batch of Canadian VHS releases from Malofilm Entertainment, now going by the name of Behaviour, but still the same company, was Transformers Generation 2. As we talked about in the previous parts, Transformers Generation 2 was essentially a repackaging of the Generation 1 episodes using very cheap, chintzy, quite frankly intrusive CG fades and wipes like every 2 seconds throughout the episode. It wasn't enough that they were using CG fades and wipes, they added like really loud, intrusive sound effects on it. Yeah, I can't possibly use the word intrusive enough to describe Generation 2.
Through the magic of the Cybernet Space Cube, the computer-enhanced stories of the Transformers, More Than Meets the Eye.
Yes, they called it the Cybernet Space Cube. Okay, now, the 80s were cheesy enough as it was to a lot of people. Why did they have to make it cheesier in the 90s? It just made it seem like total crap. It really did. Anyway, Generation 2 ran for 65 episodes, as I mentioned before. Just 65 random episodes from the original 98, presented in this repackaged Cybernet Space Cube enhanced version. So, what about the VHS releases? Well, I've been cruising some of the Transformers wikis, and I noticed that apparently not a lot of people actually own any of these, because the information on all the wikis that I saw is wrong about the VHS releases. Now, there were a total of 4 VHS releases of Generation 2. I have 2 of them. There may have been a 5th one of the original miniseries of More Than Meets the Eye, but the cover design on that one is slightly off compared to the other 4 volumes, so I'm wondering if it's actually just a fan-produced cover that somebody did and not an official release. Although some of the other information doesn't quite match up either, suggesting it may have been released by yet another division of Malofilm a little ways down the line. I don't know, I wasn't able to find out a lot of information about it, but I'll show you the covers anyway in a few minutes here. Now, as far as this wrong wiki information I'm talking about, well, when they go on to describe the Generation 2 VHS releases, they say basically that although it says Generation 2 on the covers, the actual episodes on the tapes are the original unaltered episodes from Generation 1. This is wrong. That is true for some of the volumes. For example, I used to have this one, Transformers The Rebirth, which of course was the 3-part miniseries that concluded the original series. Now, The Rebirth was the original unaltered episodes. So I snapped this one up as soon as I heard that, because I just wanted to have that particular story in my collection, because I didn't have it before. As a matter of fact, when I bought the VHS, I hadn't seen that particular story since it originally aired. But as far as the other releases go, well, let's take a look at them. you have Dinobot Island, a two-part story from Season 2. Let's take a look at the cover here. I'll just move aside because these cover scans are pretty massive. I'm probably going to be covered by them anyway. But I can assure you, without any fear of contradiction by anyone who actually owns this video, that this is in fact the Generation 2 version of Dinobot Island, with all the horrible, crappy CG Cybernet Space Cube sequences fully intact. Yay! And then, I guess, they just really loved the Dinobots over at Malofilm. They did this one, Desertion of the Dinobots, another two-part story from Season 2. And once again, that one, like this one, is in fact the heavily CG-altered Generation 2 version, not the original unaltered version. Then finally there was this volume, Megatron's Master Plan, yet another two-parter from Season 2. As I do not own this volume, I cannot confirm one way or the other if it is the Generation 2 or unaltered Generation 1 versions. But I'm pretty sure that if these two were the Generation 2 versions, chances are Megatron's Master Plan is as well. To my knowledge, the only volume that was the unaltered versions of the episodes was the one containing the three-part story, The Rebirth. So you guys who maintain the wikis might want to double-check your sources and track someone down who actually owns the volumes to confirm that information for you, because I can assure you, without any fear of contradiction, that these two are in fact the Generation 2 versions of the episodes. Now you may be wondering, why do I have them if I hate Generation 2 so much? Well, essentially just to have a representation of them. I mean, it's not like I'm going to go out of my way to find all 65 butchered episodes to have in my collection. No, I'm not that obsessive. You know, if somebody like maybe Mill Creek puts out a $10, $20 set of all 65 episodes at some point, maybe I'll grab that just for completion's sake. But it's not something that I would sit down and rewatch over and over again like I would with the original series. So essentially I just wanted to have these for a representation of the series. So down the line, if my children become huge Transformers fans and they're curious about this Generation 2 thing that Daddy's always complaining about, I can just pop one of these tapes in, show them the first 5 minutes, and there you go! See what they did to our beloved Transformers, Rosie. See what they did. So I mentioned a possible 5th volume of Generation 2, and that would be this one, More Than Meets the Eye, which you may notice has the exact same cover as Megatron's Master Plan. And in keeping true to form with Malofilm's previous releases, I should add, you'll notice that a lot of these pictures have absolutely nothing to do with the episodes on the videos themselves. The only one that comes close is Dinobot Island. At least that's the right era of Transformers there. But then the rest of them, Desertion of the Dinobots, yeah, you got Unicron again. Megatron's Master Plan, you got Unicron and Cyclonus again. Stop using Season 3 artwork for Seasons 1 and 2 episodes. You are falsely representing your product, I say, 15 years later. Yeah. So anyway, that More Than Meets the Eye volume, you could clearly see, has similar artwork and cover design to the other releases, but looks a little bit off, a little bit different. And the release company was different. I think it was Seville Entertainment, which I think is another division of Malofilm. Branding! Hello? Pick one name and stick with it! What's the matter with you people? Oh, while we're on the subject of the Canadian releases, I should give you a look at the cover of the Malofilm release of Transformers the movie, which I mentioned in Part 1. It was the first time that we'd ever had the movie uncut, but sadly it had mono sound instead of the original theatrical stereo mix. But at least we heard Spike's infamous swear word line, "Oh shit! What are we gonna do now?" In the Family Home Entertainment version that I owned previously, it just cut straight to, "What are we gonna do now?" Which works fine. But all my friends who'd seen it theatrically were talking about the swearing in the movie. I just assumed they meant when Ultra Magnus is on the planet Junkion trying to open the Matrix to defeat the Decepticons, and he says, "Open, damn it, open!" I remember being all shocked that they had "damn it" in there. I was like, oh my god! Such language! But I was also kind of happy because it just meant that Transformers was growing up. I felt like Transformers was growing up with me. So anyway, I had no idea what this infamous swear word was that everybody was talking about until finally I saw this. This is actually the cover of the DVD release of that same version. I don't know anybody who actually had this DVD version, but this is the exact same cover as the VHS edition. The reason I decided to go with the DVD cover instead of the VHS cover is because I just couldn't find a high-resolution scan of the VHS version, and sadly I don't own it anymore, so I couldn't just scan it myself. But the DVD cover is the exact same cover as the VHS edition, so you're really not missing anything. The only thing I don't know for certain is whether or not the DVD version had the stereo audio or not, or if it was again the mono audio track that they used for the VHS release. I don't know. I would assume it's the same as the VHS release, just in DVD quality instead, but who knows? Without actually knowing anybody who owns that DVD, I can't tell you one way or the other. Maybe one of you has it and can let us know in the comments, and I'll add a little annotation about it. Okay, well, once again, we have rambled and rambled and rambled. So I think we're going to wrap up this part and just call this the Canadian releases episode. And then finally, in part 3, we'll take a look at the Rhino collection. Rhino, the last blast for Transformers on VHS. Since the Rhino days, it's been all DVD. So we'll get there eventually, don't worry. So next time, we'll take a look at the Rhino collection, and that will fully conclude our look at the VHS years of the Transformers. So until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara. So, actually, I guess technically they are in sequence. On the Transformers wikis that I was reading, they claimed that... Oh, hi, sweetie.
You're doing a video about me and the video?
I'm doing a video about the videos.
What?
I'm doing a video about these videos. How come you're up? I thought you'd still be napping. You didn't nap for very long.
Is cleaning up a little bit about this box?
I did a bit, yeah. I just had to move some things out of the way.
So you put the camera there?
Yeah. I moved it over there.
Where?
It was there, and I moved it there. Okay. I think we'll pause and continue this later. Blah. The rest of it was fine. Okay, so the next back, yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more in a little bit. A little bit more in a little bit. But at least we heard...